Back in time, BassMaster magazine, we're in actually 1982, November, December. And here I am sitting in November of 2025. So it's appropriate time frame. It's nice cool weather, deer hunting season and all that. And I used to kind of like this time fishing because everybody started watching football and didn't go out on the lake as much fishing. High school football came in, kicked in on the weekends. College football and the pros. And the other thing, deer season kicked in. And half of the fishermen, probably or more, deer hunt. So they all left the lake and went deer hunting. So it was some of the quietest times in my life fishing. And one of my favorites was fishing in the fall. And here we are again, November, December, 1982. Let me see. It's just, again, I look over time through a lot of the artwork and how many of us, this is called the magic moment art, and how many of us actually have that imprinted in our brains from one or maybe several bass that we can remember that was a similar mental picture. But also, catch and release bass tournaments can be a bonus for the cagey fish weigh-in sites. Actually, we found what this is kind of talking about is now that catch and release is really kind of kicked in, even at the smaller club tournament levels and everything else, is that one of the benefits is just not that initial release of the fish, but it's that actually where they release the fish sometimes become a lot better fishing areas than they were before, just because of this artificial stocking of fish that maybe were caught all over the lake, but now get released in one area. And so a lot of guys zero in on those areas as, hey, I know there's a lot of fish here because the big tournament last week released over 1,000 and the tournament the weekend before released 1,000. So these areas, we still don't know, do those fish migrate back? Some theories say they do. Some theories say they don't. But I know from my own experience that some do stay, because there's areas now you can go to that didn't used to be that great a fishing area and now are really good because of this continuous restocking that takes place from fishing tournaments. And again, a lot of this is, you know, and this has to be kind of more even important now than it used to be, is how you make your cast. In other words, if you're fishing a brush pile, are you afraid you're going to get hung up in it? So that means you're just going to throw your lures on the outer edges of it, or are you willing to throw into the heart of it? And the better anglers get where they have enough confidence that they'll fish, they'll actually look at a brush pile or a target and go, where would I not throw my bait? Whereas most people are not going to throw their bait, and then they throw their bait there. And that little difference from a fish being in the middle of the bush, being on the outside edge, is a big difference now, especially with all the fishing pressure that we have. And of course, this guy says throw at the junk. Well, heck yeah, that's what we've learned over the years is, you know, a bass, a largemouth bass. Hello, Farrah Bear. It's my little dog. But, you know, that's where the bass live, always has. He lives around a target. He uses it for cover, he uses it for security, he uses it as an ambush area. These are a lot of basic stuff, but again, this is back in time, and a lot of people are coming to fishing that hadn't been in fishing before. This article here is about flipping has kind of really caught on all over the country now. You know, but most people flip a jig, flip a soft plastic worm. And this article here is about flipping spinnerbaits. And I never had done it until I had a BASS terminal on Lake Okeechobee, and Gary Klein brought out a friend from California with him. And back then they could practice with you, so I had him practice with me. And we were pitching and flipping, and he started flipping the spinnerbait, which I thought was, wow, that's kind of neat. I've never seen it before. And it's, you know, it's a short presentation. You flip it in and you pull it back out, and then you flip it in and you pull it back out. So you may not have it in the water over about 5 feet. But he started catching fish behind me where I was fishing a soft plastic worm, typical of what you would flip in Florida. And since then, I've actually learned to do that. But one of the spinnerbait is good, but one of the baits I actually had a lot of success on has been bladed jigs. And of course, we all know bladed jigs are a nightmare when you get around woods, so you really better know what you're doing. To flip it in, you know, thick cover area, thick weeds, thick brush piles and stuff, and get it out. But typical to a flipper, you learn how to do that. You learn how to get it out without getting hung up every cast. And this article here is about reel drags, how much. And then again, this is a listen, everybody you talk to is going to have a different opinion on it. Personally, I don't use a drag at all. I'm a power angler. I don't trust drags. Even the best ones, if you haven't used them in a while, can stick at the most inappropriate time when that big fish gets to the boat and he finally is going to make that final real hard run. And if your drag hasn't been used in a while, then it's going to stick. And that's why you see a lot of guys that do use the drag, when they get up there, they'll actually test it. They're fighting the fish like this, and they'll test their drag. So, because they know it's going to make that run, and they want it to be loose and do what it's supposed to do. I don't even like to think about that, so I tighten my drags totally down. I use the thumb bar, and when he's going to make that run, I just push the thumb bar, and my thumb's already on the spool. So I'm going to control him with my thumb, with the way I feel how much pressure I need to put. And I can feel that much more exactly than the drag itself can. So it's just however you chose to do it. A lot of people use drags that evolve from open face spinning reels where you're using a light line, which a drag is probably more necessary. But even with an open face spinning reel, I back reel them. I don't use a drag even on open face spinning reels. I'm not saying that's the best way, I'm just telling you how I do it because I don't trust the drags. And I know they've changed a lot over time. But so I just manually do the drag, either with the casting reel, I just push it thumb bar and let him run, and then I click it back in. Or with an open face spinning reel, I do it where I can back reel. You know, with spinning reels, you can flip a little switch here and you can back reel. If I'm fighting him in like this, if he's gonna make a hard run, I back reel. I let him down. I'm in total control. Anyway, that concludes 1982. This was November, December.